So last week we got news that Sam Raimi, yes, that Sam Raimi, was going to be directing Doctor Strange 2, also known as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, some news websites said he was only in talks to direct with Marvel. Some say that he had finalized negotiations and would in fact be directing it. But for the purposes of this video, let's just act like most people on the internet and not do any research and just read the headlines and say, yes, Sam Raimi is 100% directing Doctor Strange 2. Also, the Switch Pro is totally coming out this year. Saw it in a headline. Now, this news on its own is very exciting and interesting. Sam Raimi is a well-respected genre filmmaker, and he's responsible for two of the greatest superhero films ever made, and a third one that we won't really talk about right now. But what exactly would a Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie look like? Well, if we take a look at some of the other movies Sam Raimi has directed, then we might be able to get a better idea as to what he would want to do with the Sorcerer Supreme.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Before we get into what it means to be a Sam Raimi movie, first I want to talk about what Marvel already has in store for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Because not only did Marvel announce this movie with a release date, but they did so with story details that give us a pretty good idea of what to expect. In July of last year, Kevin Feige and original director Scott Derrickson announced that this movie will be an interdimensional affair and the first true horror movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, focusing on the bizarre and scary elements of the multiverse. But not only that, Elizabeth Olsen would be in the movie as her Marvel character Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, and the events of her Disney Plus TV show WandaVision, as well as the Disney Plus Loki TV show, would tie directly into Doctor Strange 2. That all sounds really cool and interesting, and possibly a step up from the more basic first movie. However, in January of this year, it was announced that Derrickson would be leaving the project due to creative differences. And that's where Sam Raimi comes in. Possibly. Also, Michael Waldron, who's the showrunner for Loki, is currently rewriting the script. So already we're getting a sense that things are going in a slightly different direction for this movie. Now, all things considered, this news is definitely an upgrade. Sure, Scott Derrickson is a fine director, but I mean, come on, Sam Raimi is Sam Raimi. His name alone has a clout to it that very few directors can achieve. Now, even though we're getting a new writer and new director, I'm still expecting Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to adhere pretty closely to Marvel's original pitch for the film. I mean, they did make a pretty big deal of announcing what this movie was going to be about when they first revealed the title for it. So I'd imagine it would still be some sort of scenario where Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch do scary magic stuff across the multiverse. They're just taking a different path through this journey. I mean, why else hire the showrunner of Loki to write the script if that wasn't your intention? Plus, there is precedent for this. Thor Ragnarok was always going to be Thor Ragnarok. But before Taika Waititi came on board, the logo for the movie looked like this. And after Taika signed on to make the film, it looked like this. We still got a movie dealing with the Norse god apocalypse, we just got it in a very different way than what we originally expected to be. But this situation is weird because Sam Raimi isn't exactly a director for hire. He doesn't just attach himself to any random projects. Whenever he makes a movie, he's sure to make it a Sam Raimi movie. But with that said, what exactly would make Doctor Strange 2 a Sam Raimi film? And is there anything in the director's filmography that can give us hints and clues as to what he would want to do with the Sorcerer Supreme? And no, I don't just mean that he's going to put Bruce Campbell or his dad's 73 Oldsmobile Delta into the film, although you can bet your ass he's going to find a way to do that. And for the record, I doubt Bruce Campbell is going to play anybody from the Doctor Strange comic book mythology. I don't think he'll play anybody like Mephisto or Shuma-Gorath or anything like that. He'll probably have a cameo on kin to his Spider-Man cameos. Although how cool would it be if Bruce Campbell played Shuma-Gorath? think about it. No, really what I mean is, what's the central theme that pops up constantly in Sam Raimi's work? Every well-known, well-respected director usually has a certain theme or idea that they like to revisit throughout all of their films. For example, Christopher Nolan likes to make movies about identity, memory, and vigilantism. David Cronenberg likes to make movies about men becoming monsters. Steven Spielberg makes movies about ordinary people thrusted into extraordinary situations. And James Cameron likes to make movies about the conflict between man and technology, featuring a badass military woman in it for good measure. And when you look at Sam Raimi's entire filmography, and I'm talking movies like the Evil Dead trilogy, the Spider-Man trilogy, The Quick and the Dead, Drag Me to Hell, Darkman, and many others, the central theme that keeps popping up in his movies is what IndieWire pretty much described as the opening of Pandora's box. It's the idea that the protagonists of a Sam Raimi movie either do something, learn of something, or unleash something very shocking and can't undo what they've just done. I don't have to retell the story of Pandora's box, right? We all know that. A girl named Pandora got a box, she opened it, and all the evils of the world got out, and she couldn't put them all back in. That's what I'm talking about here. Think of it this way. In The Evil Dead, the main characters find a tape recording and a magic book. They play the recording and they open and read the book and unleash all sorts of demonic spirits that terrorize and kill them throughout the course of the film. Every time a character tries to stop this evil, they fail. And Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams is stuck dealing with the fallout from all of this for the rest of his life. Or take Drag Me to Hell, for example. Similar situation here. Alison Lohman's character Christine denies an old woman a bank loan and is cursed for her cruelty. She is then forced to deal with the ramifications of this curse and try to make amends for it. All the amends happen to fail, and she has to deal with the consequences of her actions. Now, those were just the obvious examples, but for the most part, pretty much every movie in Sam Raimi's filmography deals with this concept. However major or minor it relates to the plot. And this does include all three Spider-Man movies. In Spider-Man 1, Pandora's box is represented as the robber he fails to stop. This in turn leads to the death of Uncle Ben and Peter Parker ultimately deciding to use his powers for good, becoming Spider-Man. And it all just keeps going downhill from there. At the end of the first movie, Spider-Man defeats the Green Goblin, but that comes at the expense of his relationship with Harry Osborn. His choice to continue being Spider-Man affects all of his relationships negatively in Spider-Man 2. The part in the movie where he gives up the responsibility of being a hero is loaded with moments where he sees problems that Spider-Man could have easily have solved. Hell, even in Spider-Man 3, his decision to wear the black suit for as long as he did ultimately led him down a dark path, turning him into the villain that he never wanted to be. This whole idea of opening Pandora's box, either metaphorically or literally, is a really interesting one, and I think it could be a very good catalyst for the events of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Maybe Wanda accidentally opens up a doorway to the horrors of the multiverse, and Doctor Strange has to try and fix this situation, but never quite succeeding. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Doctor Strange, in his hubris of trying to fix Wanda's mind, is the one to unleash all the horrors, and the movie is about him coming to grips with his arrogance leading to all these atrocities. Already, this is very different from how the first Doctor Strange movie handled its story. In that film, it was really more about Doctor Strange's story of trying to become the Sorcerer Supreme, crossing up against Caecilius' story of trying to get revenge against the Ancient One. By making either Strange or Wanda the catalyst for the film's events, it leads to a deeper connection between the characters and the plot, and it makes everything overall just a bit more personal and dire. Man, already this is sounding really exciting. It's no secret that I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Doctor Strange movie. I found it to be a bit too derivative of all the other films in the MCU, and the super cool magic moments were very few and far between. Something like this would definitely make the story much more dynamic and focused. And on top of that, Sam Raimi is a very good visual storyteller. Even his bad movies like Oz the Great and Powerful were very unique and pleasing to look at. So imagine what he can do with a movie like Doctor Strange, all the cool visuals that he can pull off. That is, of course, obviously, if he does in fact wind up making this movie. Right now, everything's uncertain. Really, he's just in talks. But, I mean, I hope so. Sam Raimi rules, and having him direct a Doctor Strange movie, well, that would rule too. Don't you agree? What do you think of the idea of Sam Raimi directing a Doctor Strange movie? A Doctor Strange sequel at that? What are some of the things you want to see him do with the character? Or is there anybody else you think would have made a better fit for this film? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. I know somebody in the comments is probably writing, well, what about Spider-Man 3? And look, yes, that movie was the result of a lot of studio interference, the studio not letting Sam Raimi do his thing, and sure, Marvel is known for tinkering with movies against a director's wishes in order to get the film that they want, but they've also shown a willingness to just let directors direct, and Sam Raimi is definitely the kind of director they would just let direct. And as long as he's willing to do the certain story beats that Marvel wants him to do, I'm sure he can make a truly spectacular movie with an incredibly high budget. It's a win-win for everybody. I'll put a link to the IndieWire article I referenced earlier in this video down in the description. It's a really interesting read, you should check it out. I'll also have Amazon links to some Doctor Strange comics and some movies from Sam Raimi's filmography that I think you should check out. Obviously, Spider-Man and the Evil Dead are down there, but I'll have other stuff too, like Darkman. That's a good one. And of course, don't forget that we have new videos on this channel every single Tuesday and Wednesday, with Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern being Wulff Den Live. So subscribe to see all of that, like this video, and share it with a friend who isn't exactly sure what to expect from a Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange film. Hopefully, I gave him a little bit of an idea of what this unique situation might bring. That is, if he's actually going to direct the film, but I think he will. I hope so. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.